Good morning. I'm Bob Beagle. I'm the Vice President for Advancement at the University of Rhode Island, and it's my great pleasure to welcome all of you here today to ChemArt for this great kickoff rally on behalf of question number 2. We are delighted to be at ChemArt, which is one of Rhode Island's leading businesses, and it was founded and it's owned by a URI chemistry alum, Richard Beaupre. And before I introduce Dick to make a few welcoming comments, I want to say just a few things about him. I first met Dick Beaupre 19 years ago when the University of Rhode Island was conducting its first ever capital campaign. And Dick was one of the very first people we went to see, and it was the very first time he had ever been visited by URI. And very shortly into the conversation, he says to me, "Well, what is it you want me to do?" And we talked about some things that we might want him to do. And he immediately said, "Well, I'll make a major gift, and I want to do an endowed scholarship, and I want to do it for a chemistry major who has to commute to school, because that's what I did when I got my degree, and to me there's nothing more important than the degree I got in chemistry." And Dick established that endowment, and over the years he's become not only one of our most generous benefactors at the university, but he also is one of our most passionate advocates, never missing an opportunity to tell everybody how important public education is in Rhode Island. I consider him a good personal friend. He's also a good personal friend of the University of Rhode Island, and perhaps most importantly for today, he's also one of Rhode Island's leading businessmen running one of Rhode Island's most successful companies. Dick Beaupre.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, our relationship goes way back. I was speaking to some of the students out here, and I was telling them, you know, you're all chemistry graduates, and you are very employable. You won't have the problem getting a job when you graduate, as many others are from college today. And I told them, this company right here, we have two, this building and the one next door, would not exist without my degree in chemistry. It gave me the background. And I got a little bit more from URI, as a matter of fact. Back in the 70s, I went to the graduate business school for a short time and got some basics in business management, which I was able to use very well in starting this company, which started in 1976. I can't tell you how important chemistry is. It's all around us. I was explaining to these gentlemen out here, I said, you know, even in your household, you take a bottle of bleach water and you put it in a little bit of vinegar and you're going to get gassed. Really, you're going to liberate chlorine gas. And very few housewives would know that. But even a few basic courses in chemistry, it would teach you that. So I think chemistry is very important. It's all around us. It serves us extremely well. And to have a basic understanding of it is so important. As a matter of fact, I think probably, and I'm not sure about this, but maybe half all chemistry, students at URI take basic chemistry 101 and 102. At least all the engineering students do, all the science students do, whether it's physics, whatever. They all have to take chemistry, and it will stay with them the rest of their lives. I was very lucky, extremely lucky, that this all happened. I don't know why. A lot of it was, I had an idea, a basic idea many, many years ago. I think it was in 1975. I was working for a company, and I was told my job was going to end. It was going to be brought out to California. So I was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, didn't know what to do. So I came up with this idea because there was a costume jewelry industry in Rhode Island. And I came up with the idea that I could use the technology and my chemistry background to start a company. And I did it. And boy, it was successful from day one. The first year, we made a profit. Now, a lot of people in the state saw what I did, and they tried to copy it. Well, it didn't happen. Fortunately, it didn't. So we became arguably one of the largest companies in the world for what we do. As a matter of fact, I've been told that this company is the largest American-made Christmas ornament company in the country. Because most ornaments are made overseas. Everything here is made right here in Rhode Island, all the ornaments. I will be delighted to give you all a tour. There's so many of us, we're going to have to break up in groups, but some of our executives will take some of you through the plan and explain it to them. I also hope, and I know I can, give you all a gift before you leave, and that'll be the official 2010 White House Christmas ornament. We've been manufacturing that ornament since its inception in 1981, and we're the only manufacturer of that ornament ever. And it's been quite a run for us. It's a lot. Thank you. And it is the largest. It's the largest single Christmas ornament in this country today. That's quite a thrill. But you're all going to get a sample of that of the 2010 ornament. There's a lot of people here. I have no idea how many we're going to need. But it looks like somewhere around 100. Yeah. But hey, listen, that's a small amount. I mean, we make over 1 million of them every year. It's a huge program, the largest ornament program in the country. Well, I do want to thank you all for coming here, for visiting us. I'm very proud to have you here. I got to admit, I never expected it was going to be this large, such a large crowd. I only expected a few people. Well, wow, I'm impressed. Okay, thank you very much for coming. We're going to split you up in groups, and we're going to have a tour later on. Okay, thanks.
And again, Dick, thanks for hosting this event today. When we were planning this, we couldn't think of a more appropriate or a better place to have this, hosted by just a great guy. We have several speakers today who will talk about question number 2 from different perspectives. And the first person that I'm happy to introduce is Ray DePasquale. Now, Ray wears 2 hats. He is the president of the Community College of Rhode Island, but as you hopefully know, he is also the commissioner for higher public education in the state. And he's done a terrific job in both categories, but in terms of today, we're particularly happy with the job he's doing as commissioner and the way he's helping with this bond. Now, Ray, you know, if you hold down 2 jobs and you do them both very well, you must really be full of a lot of energy, right? So he said the other day, I'm going to be the guy that comes in and fires up the crowd for this rally. So our Commissioner, Ray DePasquale.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. And welcome to everyone. And ladies and gentlemen, it truly is a pleasure. And on behalf of the Board of Governors, I want to thank all of you for joining us, as well as President Dooley and President Cariola, our students who will be speaking to you, Joss and Lindsay. But this is why we're here. Look around, the students. This is what it's all about. This is why we're here today. It's why we invest in higher education for one reason, for them. So let's give them a great round of applause for being here today. All chemistry majors?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I especially want to recognize and thank Dick Beaupre, the founder and owner of ChemArt, for allowing us to begin our campaign at his company. ChemArt is a terrific Rhode Island success story. And Dick is a wonderful example of a loyal UR alumni who has benefited from his time at the university and who has remained connected and supportive of his alma mater. Dick, on behalf of the Board of Governors and all of higher education, and certainly everyone at the university and Rhode Island College, and most importantly, the students, we want to thank you this morning for your hospitality and for your continued generosity and support for the hope in helping all of these students be successful as they go forward. Thank you so very much for all you do. As you know, these two projects are in question two. $61 million for the new chemistry and forensic science building at the university, and $17 million to renovate and rehab the Arts Center at Rhode Island College. I'm here to tell you how much the entire Board of Governors supports these two projects unanimously. The Board of Governors, as you may or may not know, is the single largest owner of state property in Rhode Island and holds title to just about 50% of all state property. But there is a limit to the usefulness and the effectiveness of some of these buildings. For example, our chemistry building at the university is about 60 years old. And Dick, you probably remember it from 60 years ago. I would ask Dr. Dooley to tell you it probably hasn't changed a whole lot in those 60 years. And we all know that if you don't modernize, you don't keep up to date the equipment and facilities, you're not going to be as competitive. You're not going to be a first-class university. So by simply saying to you today, this is a most important project for these students to be state-of-the-art, to be ahead of the competition, and to keep our university competitive is an absolute must. The field of chemistry has seen any number of significant advancements, as well as the introduction of new lab equipment and protocols over the last 60 years. And in fact, if we think about this, today our system is educating close to 44,000 students in Rhode Island. And if you factor in the fact that STEM, and we all hear the word STEM so often, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, is absolutely the cornerstone of our future. And for those of you that may not know, chemistry is the foundation for many of those disciplines. Right now, more than 6,000 students at the university need chemistry classes, and that includes the fields of biotechnology, engineering, nursing, pharmacy, and many more majors as well. There is no doubt that the new chemistry building will benefit all of Rhode Islanders, and most importantly, educating our students for the future. At Rhode Island College, the Arts Center, which I visited, is a high demand facility that serves over 200 undergraduate majors and some 2,000 students each year who take classes in this facility. Rick has a long and rich history of graduating art students who have successfully become art professors, teachers, graphic designers, professional studio artists, and multimedia professionals. Many of them are award-winning and renowned in their respective fields. As President Cariola will tell you, the Arts Center wasn't even designed to be an art center when it was built in 1958, over 52 years ago. It was a student center and a dining hall that over the years was retrofitted to be an art and studio for its students. And as you can imagine, it has long outlived its usefulness, and it now needs major renovations to comply with building codes and fire codes. In fact, in 2004, they did a feasibility study that said the building is well beyond its useful life. And that was almost 7 years ago. So the time has come, Dr. Cariola and Rhode Island College, to rehab that building and bring it back so that the students can benefit from a state-of-the-art facility. And Dick, as I'm sure you know and our presidents know, the importance of state-of-the-art facilities, and Rhode Island College is in desperate need of investing in this art building. So today, we ask Rhode Islanders across this wonderful state to invest in higher education, to invest in our students, to invest in our future, and most importantly, to vote yes on question 2 because it is an outstanding opportunity to bring our state back, to make it stronger, to invest in our students, and to make us competitive in the fields of chemistry and art throughout the state and the nation. I urge all of you to join me in supporting and saying yes to question 2 in the November election. Thank you all so very, very much.
Thank you, Ray. Our next speaker is Dr. Nancy Cariulo. And when I asked Nancy how she wanted to be introduced, she said, just very simply, the president of Rhode Island College who needs a new art facility. So I give to you Dr. Nancy Cariulo, the president of Rhode Island College.
Thank you very much, Bob, and thank you all, to all of you who've come out today to hear a little bit more about our needs. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the Arts Center and about our program. As you've already heard, the building was constructed in 1958. Actually, it functioned in 3 different ways. It was originally supposed to be a library, a dining center, and a student union, back in the days when Rhode Island College was much smaller. It's one of the original buildings on campus. The structure has inadequate lighting, heating, cooling, and ventilation. And of course, you all know how important ventilation is in an art facility. So it's very unsuitable for studio art training and for education. Nevertheless, as the commissioner said, RIC students and their faculty are award winners who have created beautiful artworks in the facility. I'm wearing today some jewelry that was created by one of our art students. Her name is Alexandra Medbury, and I think that she represents just a small bit of the talent in the jewelry making department that we have. The Learning Center that we envision for the new Art Center will have the space, the light, and the stimulus needed to support such creativity amongst our very fine students, 90% of whom come from Rhode Island. Rhode Island art graduates contribute to Rhode Island's economy as well as to our culture in our fine state. Our students enter into the workforce in such companies as Hasbro Toys, Boeing, National Geographic, NBC, Waterfire, where I recently heard the originator of Waterfire describe it as art with a small a, and Rhode Island Monthly, as well as, I shall not forget, ChemArt. We're very proud to say that some of our graduates have also been employed here, and that name's just a few. Many have gone on to become teachers, graphic designers, studio artists, and multimedia professionals. Their out-of-the-box thinking sometimes sparks creative ideas that not only lead to great art, but also to great inventions when they team up with scientists. The very kind of synergy that we see brought together here at ChemArt. Lindsay Boudreau, who will be speaking shortly, exemplifies the talented Rhode Island College students who deserve a lot more than a building with diminished capacities and antiquated facilities. So let me say just a bit of introduction of Miss Lindsay Boudreau. Lindsay graduated this past spring from Rhode Island College summa cum laude with a BFA in studio art, concentrating in printmaking and a minor in art history. She was the recipient of the 2010 Graduating Senior Talent Award for Excellence in Studio Art. And she chose to enroll in a 1-credit course at RIC this semester because, as Lindsay has often told me, there's no place she would rather be than Rhode Island College, and certainly no place she'd rather be than in the Arts Center doing work, a place where I've seen her many times on weekends and in the evenings. So please join me in welcoming the embodiment of student art at RIC, Miss Lindsay Boudreau.
Hi, Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Bodrow, and I'm here today to talk to you about my experience as a Rhode Island College art student and what I've taken away from my time at RIC and why it's so important that you vote yes on question 2 in November. As Nancy said, I just graduated this past spring with a BFA in studio art concentrating in printmaking. I'm taking a 1-credit course this semester while working full-time. Now that I've graduated, I appreciate more than ever the sense of self-discipline I learned as a student at RIC. It's easy to allow the duties of everyday life to swallow up all of your time. Making art is expensive. Supplies are outrageously priced, and work takes valuable time to make. You're not only expending energy by physically making something, but also by perpetually researching, learning, looking, questioning, and being open to new ideas. You cannot move forward unless you are constantly chipping away, constantly struggling to reach the most distilled form of the concept you're working with. Progress is not a straight, regular line. You put all of your efforts into what feels like running in place for a long time, and at some point, something clicks and you lurch forward. Thanks to the efforts and guidance and enthusiasm of my instructors, I quickly came to love the Art Center like home, and more importantly, to love the process of making art and spending every spare minute in the studio. During my senior year, I typically spent between 10 and 16 hours a day at school during the week, and as much time as I could before or after work on the weekends. More times than I can count, I worked straight through the night, and I was definitely not alone. So many of my peers shared my dedication and fervor. When all the surrounding buildings are dark and vacant, the Art Center always has someone there. A good friend and fellow student of mine recently said, "I'm always at the Art Center, and if I'm not at the Art Center, I'm on my way to the Art Center, or getting more supplies to bring back to the Art Center." I learned from my mentors not only to push myself constantly to produce work, but also to push myself in terms of the content of my work, to be wary of being too comfortable. The first couple of years are spent learning the basic art foundations commandments, the do's and don'ts for a successful work of art. It isn't until later in the program that you begin to see that the rules are really just guidelines. Our professors instill in us this long list of rules, this extensive history that tells us what art has been and should be, while simultaneously encouraging us to take risks and trust ourselves to know when to break the rules. If a work felt too easy to make, it probably was. There must always be room for chance and invention. These are what keep it from being stagnant. The Rhode Island College art program has often been overlooked in the shadow of RISD, not 10 minutes away. But our professors have an incredibly impressive list of credentials, earning their degrees from such institutions as Yale, MassArt, and RISD. They have their own studios and actively produce work, and many have shown nationally and internationally. Many have work in permanent museum collections. The fact that the art program is run by such accomplished individuals means it produces successful students with their own notable achievements. Melissa Brown, for example, graduated from RIC in 2008 with a BFA in studio art. She was also the winner of the E.P. Anderson Art Award, a scholarship for artists under 30 living, working, or going to school in Rhode Island who have never had a solo exhibition. She was up against artists who had degrees from RISD, Brown, URI, and MassArt, but her work impressed judges the most. A fellow RIC printmaker from my graduating class got a full scholarship to Ohio State University, which is a very prestigious printmaking program, and another friend now has an internship with a very well-known photographer in Brooklyn. My own plans include attending grad school within the next 2 years. I still have a lot of researching to do, but I know I work hard and that I was given an excellent education by accomplished artists who reassure me that if I continue to work hard, I'll do just fine. We're proud of the art program at RIC, and we hold our own in an incredibly competitive world. But as proud as I am of the work I've produced, I can't help but wonder what more I could have accomplished if I didn't have to constantly take into consideration and work around the conditions in our very old building. Things like bad lighting, faulty heat, and poor ventilation. The program is growing and needs the space and facilities to accommodate the increasing number of students, their interests, and the great work they could achieve. When I encounter someone who's thinking of going to art school or taking art classes, I always beg them to consider Rhode Island College. RIC has an art program that more and more people are hearing about and has produced many fine artists it should be proud of. It's time we give the students a building to be proud of, too. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Our next speaker is Dr. David Dooley, the president of the University of Rhode Island. And if you know anything about Dr. Dooley's background, you'll know there probably isn't anybody who knows more about why chemistry is important than President Dooley, because he has all of his degrees in chemistry and related fields, and is also a very respected scholar and researcher in the field of chemistry, as well as being a university administrator. So it's with great pleasure I present to you the president of the university and my boss, Dr. Dave Dooley.
Thank you, Bob. And thank you all for joining us today. And thank you especially to the students for being here. In many ways, this is all about you. I do note that, however, that some of your footwear would not be appropriate for the chemical laboratories. Couldn't help but not comment on that. This is really about the education that we're going to provide to the young people of Rhode Island and the investment that we as Rhode Islanders are going to make in them. And not just their future, but our future together. It's also about the research, as well as the education that will take place in the building on the University of Rhode Island campus. That research and that education, as you heard so eloquently today from Dick, has the potential to not just create a highly educated workforce for the jobs of the 21st century, it has the potential to create new employers and jobs that would not otherwise be here in Rhode Island or even in our nation. And I think because we recognize that collectively, we understand that this particular investment in research and education is so important. And I'm delighted to see so many of our friends who understand this well from labor here today, because they know that unless the Rhode Island economy is successful, unless business is successful, then Rhode Islanders will not have the jobs and the work that they need to provide the lives that they want for their families. And so we appreciate you being here today with us. We appreciate your support in urging all Rhode Islanders to support Proposition or Question 2 on the November ballot. I'd just like to make a couple of other points about the Center for Chemical and Forensic Sciences at the University of Rhode Island. It will house a very, very important research entity that's sponsored by the Department of Homeland Security and exists to improve the security of our troops in foreign theaters of operation, as well as our nation against improvised explosive devices and other kinds of devices that can be used against them and against us. And the research that's done in that Department of Homeland Security Center for Excellence, multi-university partnership of which URI is the lead, will help make all of us safer. And that's just one example of the kind of work that will take place in the facility. So when you think about voting yes on Question 2, think about the fact that you're also voting yes for jobs, you're also voting yes for education, you're voting yes for security, you're voting yes for a bright future for Rhode Island, and you're voting yes to Rhode Island. And you're doing that at a cost for the chemistry building that we're talking about here of $9 a year for every taxpayer in Rhode Island. I can think of no better investment. We're very pleased that Dick provided for the group that's here today, a very sizable group, Dick, so I hope you bought enough, of samples from what seems to me to be Rhode Island's favorite retail operation, namely Dunkin' Donuts. And really what we're talking about here is for the cost of 2 visits in a year to Dunkin' Donuts, you can have a state-of-the-art facility that will make an enormous difference in all of our futures and help create a much brighter future for Rhode Island and for the young people that we see here today that will create jobs and that will create opportunity. And as I said, I can't think of any better investment for those $9 than that. And I hope that even Dunkin' Donuts would agree. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dooley. Since Dunkin' Donuts is right adjacent to our campus, they probably will agree because they like the students that come to URI because it's good business for them. Before I introduce our final speaker, I want to thank the building committees at both the University of Rhode Island and Rhode Island College who have put in tremendous amounts of work in planning for these two facilities. From Rhode Island College, Bill Deerhart, who is the Vice President for Administration and Finance. Bill, are you here? And from the University of Rhode Island, Tom Frisbee Fulton, who is our university architect. And Tom is standing in the back there. Thanks to both of them and their committees for a lot of hard work. To get us here today, a lot of work had to go be done by them and a lot of others to get this authorized by the legislature and go through the whole process, and they've done a tremendous job. Our final speaker today is from the University of Rhode Island, Joshua Potvin. Josh came to URI to major in chemistry, and he started getting interested in chemistry when he was in the 4th grade at Oak Lawn Elementary School in Cranston. We know more about you than you probably wish we did. And he said early on that he would like to become a doctor and help to cure diseases. While his focus has slightly changed during the years since the 4th grade, he now wants to become a surgeon. His medical aspirations haven't. The future doctor has been hooked on chemistry, and he works with Professor Brett Lucht at the university in Brett's lab on a year-round basis. So we welcome Josh Potvin, who will be graduating in May of 2011. Josh?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today to kick off the bond campaign in regards to the new chemistry and forensics facility at the University of Rhode Island. Let me first by introducing myself. My name is Joshua Potvin. I grew up here in Rhode Island, and I lived in the city of Cranston. I'm a senior chemistry and pre-medicine student, and ever since I was 9 years old, I had strong aspirations to become a physician. I was captivated by illness and disease, as well as medicine as a whole. From the time that I was in the 4th grade, I had hoped to find cures for such illnesses as HIV and cancer. All these kind of anomalies kind of fascinated me ever since I was little. But how something so small could cause so much harm, and even more astonishing, how nobody could find a means to eradicate them. Even though my goals have slightly changed over the years, my ambitions to become a physician has not. I hope to become a surgeon, whether my specialty lies in neurosurgery, cardiothoracic surgery, or trauma, I still have yet to determine. However, one thing is evident. My education at the University of Rhode Island has prepared me for such endeavors. The chemistry department has strengthened me for my next step in my quest in becoming a physician. My schooling has fortified my knowledge in the physical sciences. This has allowed me to succeed on the MCAT exam for entrance into medical school, which gets me one step closer to achieving my goal. The chemistry department has also assisted me in other ways. Although I wish to one day become an accomplished surgeon, my passion for research still hasn't diminished. I still long to discover new procedures that will allow for advancements within the medical field. Despite the differences in medical and chemical research, the research process is the same. My experiences in researching with Dr. Brett Lucht have given me the background knowledge to one day implement my own medical research. The knowledge I have gained from my undergraduate education is irreplaceable and invaluable. However, Pastore Hall is nearly 60 years old. The student body has increased dramatically. Not only must it accommodate the students who major in chemistry, but also must accommodate students of many other majors. Students who study pre-medicine, biology, engineering, pharmacy, and many other subjects are also required to take chemistry courses. Laboratory and class space is limited. Students struggle to obtain an opening in many of the chemistry classes, while many others are waitlisted until space is available. This impedes upon our education and calls for a new facility. Research laboratories have also grown obsolete and calls for more space in order to keep up with today's chemical advancements in research. This new facility will greatly increase the much needed space in research and teaching laboratories. It will provide the university with a strong foundation to for further advancements in chemistry. Therefore, I ask you today for your support in obtaining the finances for a new chemistry and forensics facility at the University of Rhode Island. It is essential for the development of URI's chemistry students, as well for the accommodation of all the other students enrolling in chemistry courses. This new facility will increase the research and teaching space available for further developments in the field of chemistry. Please help us on November 2nd and vote yes on bond referendum 2. I want to thank you again for coming and joining us today and supporting our bond campaign kickoff. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. I also want to thank a variety of organizations that have made today possible and are making the campaign possible. The University of Rhode Island Alumni Association, the University of Rhode Island Foundation, a number of our unions, collective bargaining groups on the University of Rhode Island campus, as well as collective bargaining groups on the Rhode Island College campus. And President Dooley referenced the support of labor. And I think, George, I thought I saw George Nee here. George, there you are. We particularly want to thank the unions around the state of Rhode Island for their support of this campaign and also for their public endorsements of our campaign and the work that they're doing with their membership on our behalf. So a great thanks to all of those people, as well as Dick Beaupre, for making today possible and for making the whole campaign possible. As Dick said, tours are available for anyone who wants them, and I'm going to let him be in charge of the tours. But on behalf of everyone here from the University of Rhode Island and Rhode Island College and the Office of Higher Education, again, thank you for coming. And Bill Euler just waved at me in the background. Don't forget your ornament on the way out, right? Okay, thanks.